Hey guys, in case you haven't heard it already, big balance changes coming in this Tuesday, the 14th. Going to completely shake up the game. Um, and I think people, while aren't aware of how big these balance changes are, certain classes maybe just completely drop off the mat. Certain classes will have to adapt. It opens up the way of new punishing strategies. So first of all, we'll start with Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. Old Battlecry, your deck has no duplicate two other random other random dragons to your hand. They cost 0. New Battlecry, if your deck has no duplicates, add 2 other random dragons to your hand. They cost 1. This is for certain decks more important than others. For decks that are just really in those tempo wars, or really fighting to survive, or really fighting to kill their opponent, thinking Highlander Hunter and Highlander Mage. This is a big deal because it's just you're often like you're about to kill your opponent. They go Dragon Queen, and then they get a big taunt, or they get a removal. Now you have to plan ahead. You have to plan, okay, I'm going to do these next turn. So because of that, you're not going to be able to get the instant swings that you do from the previous Dragon Queen. That makes a big difference. I think it's actually going to matter less for decks like that actually aren't Highlander. Interestingly enough, decks like especially Warlock, Galakrond Warlock, and Quest Warlock. Quest Warlock might even be able to get this Dragon Queen for 0, so 2 1-mana dragons aren't going to be as big a deal. Galakrond Warlock will often, it's late in the game, they already have 10 mana when they play it, so at the very least you can just play 1. Often you're holding a dragon anyways. Maybe you're putting threats on the board. If you're playing a long match against Priest, a matchup where you might need Dragon Queen, you play 1 dragon, and then they have to do removal, and then you play the other dragon. It's interesting now, it actually could be good sometimes, because often, if I play Dragon Queen against a priest, and the priest is a thinking player, they might think, oh, they have maybe some special battle cry effect, that they want to save, or maybe it's Deathwing and they don't want to discard their hand. Now they don't have that information. Very minor thing. Still, you'd be still much better off having 0 mana, but that's what's interesting about that. So Highlander isn't going away, but certain decks will definitely affect it. Corsair Catch. Old draw weapon, give it +1/+1. New draw weapon, give it +1 durability. This is a huge nerf. I think people are acting like this isn't a big deal. The +1/+1 is huge. And yeah, the fact is, currently in the builds of Warrior, they often sort of neglect early tempo. They use their weapon to kind of delay while an aggressive deck is coming at them, and then they do a risky skip return. Well, the problem is now is that +1/+1, 3 health minions just become massively better. So think, what is the Demon Hunter currently running in their aggressive package? They're running Amani Berserker, and they're running Bone Chewer Brawler. Those two drops both have 3 attack. Now, so if I'm playing against a Demon Hunter, they do that. Well, I get, Corsair Catch, and I have even, hit the aim card, the card I want. Well, the problem is I only have 2 attacks, so I'm attacking into these minions, and it's just going to be really hard to kill them. You get a Beaming Psychic on a Bone Chewer Brawler. Well, all of a sudden, am I going to attack and buff that up? I probably can't get a risky turn down. It's going to make sort of the weapon defense much weaker, and you're often going to just get run over. So, decks that are just very 1, 2, 3, 4 close out the game really fast. Like, we're not talking 6 or 7, we're talking 4 or 5. Warrior might actually struggle with. It's going to hurt in the mirror, interestingly enough, but the mirror is not going to matter as much. But so decks that, things like Egg Warrior might be beating the Enraged Warrior by a lot, because Egg Warrior, okay, you're going Corsair Catch, you do weapon, I go Egg into Terran, or even just Warmaul Challenger Inner Rage. Before, at least you're doing 3 damage hits, so you could knock it down, maybe take this, and then I couldn't get a big Bloodsworn. Now it's just that much harder to fight for board, and that can really matter. So it's a thing of, this is going to affect Warrior. I don't think Warrior's going away, but it might favor certain builds. It might favor certain counterattacks against Warrior. This is going to matter. Like I said, I still think Warrior's in a really strong place, and getting that extra durability still matters I think the Bomb Warrior is probably the least affected by this. Bomb Warrior goes a little bit slower. It's a little more defensive. It still gets that durability, so it's still getting all those bomb hits. So Bomb Warrior might really thrive after the expansion. But also the Bomb Warrior does have the weakness of being a little less fast on board, but it does run the cards like the Blade Storm, I believe what it is called, the 3-mana. I'm blanking. Yeah, Blade Storm. So it does have other removal tools other than weapon. So it's, I could see that definitely being good. So let's go to the big nerfs. The big nerfs are Demon Hunter. We have Metamorphosis, Kane, Sun Fury, and Warglaves of Azzinoth. So Metamorphosis, old, swap your hero power to deal 5 damage. After you chooses, swap your damage to do 4. This is, I think, a huge nerf. Just when in Metamorphosis battles, like one thing to note is 4 damage for controlling the board. Often, you'll use the Metamorphosis like, oh, I just need to kill this minion. What comes into turn 5 if you're having to do some fighting for board or something like that? Shield of Galakron. There's a lot of 5 health minions at 5 attack or at 5 mana. So this becomes much worse for just controlling the board. But 2, it's just much worse. 2 damage matters. And I think people think, oh, 2 damage, not a big deal. Often, if I'm playing a deck, I'm calculating how much damage can my opponent do to me. If they go Metamorphosis this, can they kill me? And I'm trying to set up and be as greedy as possible. And just not even having that 10 damage Metamorphosis means I can be once a lot greedier and go for the kill and say, okay, they're never killing me next turn. With Metamorphosis, the maximum damage they could do is this much damage. I can play for board. So maybe if I'm playing Priest, I can set up Apotheosis. If I'm playing another deck, I can set up a Taunt. Stuff like that. So this does matter a lot. I could see even Metamorphosis being cut from certain deck builds. Though it does, I'm not sure it will, largely because, we're going to stick up with the next one. The Warglaves of Azzinoth, new cost 6. This is a huge nerf. The late game potential. So I think people are thinking Demon Hunter's dead, and it's not. Because Demon Hunter still has, by far, the best 1, 2, 3 in the game. I was trying to play some more meme decks like Totem Shaman and Murloc Paladin. And the reality is, you go Murloc, and they go Blazing Mana Bludge, Coin, Twin Slice, bam. You just can't compete with the consistency and the efficiency of early game tempo that is Demon Hunter. No deck does. But the problem was, well, Demon Hunter not only has that early game consistency, but they have that late game sort of closeout of things like Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is realistically a 7 mana Pyroblast over 2 turns. That's pretty damn good. Well, now it's not a 7 mana Pyroblast, so that matters. And the Warglaves, this is going to make it so you can get a taunt down and you can survive. So often what happens is, you're playing certain decks that sort of win board around turns 4 and 5 against Demon Hunter. So think about my Q Priest. Often part of the reason Grave Runes was so important is you would get to turn 4 and you start to fight for board hard, and you maybe win board. Maybe you have an Imprisoned Vile Fiend, maybe you do a Holy Nova, and if you didn't have the Grave Runes down, well, they go Warglaze to kill off your whole board, and then you're screwed. Maybe they use their whole list, but then you just don't have a play. You've used all your early game stuff, and or often if you're playing just normal Gal Priest, you start to do a little better, or maybe you didn't have any early game minions, and they just go Warglaves, clear off your Shield of Galakron, and you just don't have a way of that taunt just gets wrecked through. Even if they have a Satyr, that it even gives them stuff. Now that's a turn later. And that matters. Not only is it just less mana efficient, but the turn later can matter a lot. Let's say you're going, often a Druid will go Overgrowth into the Emerald Explorer. So if let's say you're on coin, you go coin Overgrowth. So now it's turn 4. You have Emerald Explorer. Then you go Emerald Explorer. Normally, Demon Hunter would be able to equip the weapon. And let's say you didn't have a good start. They just played a Satyr. Well, you play the Emerald Explorer, they go weapon, bam, 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 3/2/2s, you're done. Now you play it, it's their turn 5. They do not have an answer. Same thing with Glowfly. They will not have that turn 5 weapon. Their ability to kind of just control the board and neutralize your later game stuff is just so much weakened. And certain decks are going to do massively better against Demon Hunter. I think where the certain decks that aren't going to matter, so if you're still playing like things like Highlander Hunter, things like Murloc Paladin, these other trying decks to compete in the Demon Hunter domain, you're still going to get like just destroyed. But those decks could benefit, not because their matchups are improving against Demon Hunter, but because Demon Hunter is getting weaker, and maybe less people play Demon Hunter giving this. And then eventually, if that happens, so here's what my prediction for the meta is. Demon Hunter, first day, nobody's playing it. Murloc Paladin, Totem Shaman, these decks that aren't really that good, but kind of are, these tempo-based, or even, Pure Paladin, stuff like that. Pure Paladin is a really good example. But even Highlander Hunter start doing really well. Then all of a sudden, Demon Hunter comes back, and because it just crushes all these decks in the early game, and then we'll find an equilibrium. But at first, I think those kind of decks that are a little more the 1, 2, 3 that just normally gets run over by Demon Hunter, those decks are going to do really well for a while until Demon Hunters realize, oh yeah, Demon Hunter still has the best early game by far. But decks like Cube Priest, decks like Druid, that get these big taunts in the way, they're going to do a lot better because the Warglaives just can't just run over toss. Things like also Abyssal Summoner, having this Warglaives a little bit later is going to matter a lot. Demon Hunters are also going to have to change their builds. They have just too many things in the 6-mana slot. They have Skull, now they have Warglaives, and realistically, the Gladebound Adept is a 6-mana card because you're always using it with your hero power. You don't have Twin Slice anymore. So Demon Hunter went from having both Warglaives and Gladebound Adept sometimes being 5-mana plays to now they have... And same thing with Skull. All these are 6-mana plays. So Demon Hunter's going to have to rebuild. I think, for example, the simple spell will do. Cobalt Spellskin. The add 2 1-cost spells to your hand. I think this is going to... People had already started trying it. Reality is, it's not that great, but now Demon Hunter doesn't have a turn 5 play, and they need a turn 5 play. This is going to smooth out the curve. I think this is going to be one of the first early experiments. Maybe something comes with it better. But yeah, Demon Hunter is going to have to change their builds. Like I said, I don't think Demon Hunter is going away, but it might go away for a while because the build that currently just, I'm just going to play Warglaives anyways, might be just trash. So I think Demon Hunter is going to have to change its style. It's going to have to change the way it plays. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think about that. Then also the small one, Kayn Sunfury, going from a 3 attack to 4 health. Another thing of just like this slightly lowers the tempo. I think this is definitely a nerf. This isn't as huge as a nerf as these two, in my opinion. Definitely matters in these tempo wars, but Demon Hunters 1, 2, 3, 4 are still going to be very strong. These in the current builds of Demon Hunter, these are game changers. So I'm not sure what Demon Hunter is going to do. Cobalt Spellskin is an option. I could see cutting 1 Warglaives as an Azeroth. I could see cutting a Skull. I could see lots of different builds kind of being tried. And I'm sure because reality is it's still going to be really strong because of the consistency of the hero power, the consistency of things like Twin Slice. But it's going to struggle for a while against the current meta. So let's go over the next nerf. I went bait for the Kayn Sunfury. Not much to say there. Dragoncaster. Old cost 6, new cost 7. This is a pretty big deal for Highlander Mage, which isn't seeing that much play, but it just turns... So right now, Highlander Mage general strategy is, okay, you fight for board a little bit. Maybe you do a Doomsayer. Maybe you just do a Zephyr into a Wild Growth. Maybe you do that 3-mana... imprisoned, what's the 3-mana mage card? I believe it is Imprisoned Observer. Maybe you do one of those and you're fighting for board, and then you go Coin Reno, or you go Coin Dragoncaster, or just Dragoncaster Greeno, and then you get back on board. You get a big tempo swing. Now the Dragoncaster is 1 turn later, and that is huge. Just 1 turn when you're behind means everything. So you're not going to be able to get these turn 6 or turn 5 or even earlier with Wild Growth, Dragon Casters. It's a turn later. It gives aggressive decks just one more turn on average to fight. So this is going to matter a lot. It also kind of often I found with Dragon Caster, like you could, if you got the 10 mana, you could often combo it with a 4-drop, but Mage has a lot of decent 4-drops. Now you can't do that. So this is going to matter. Will Highlander Mage, but the thing is, Highlander Mage is going to be possibly in a better place. Warriors getting the things like the Corsair Catch means how often Highlander Mage will have 3 more health from that. Things like this, these lowers to the Demon Hunter will make Demon Hunter worse, which might help Highlander Mage a lot. So even though this is getting nerfed and Dragon Queen is getting nerfed, some of the decks that hurt Highlander Mage are getting worse. So right now, what's interesting about the meta is often you have a situation where, for example, if you're Murloc Paladin, Demon Hunter, your Demon Hunter matchup will be barely affected. Okay, the Warglaves will matter, but the early game fight, you're still going to get crushed by Demon Hunter, but Demon Hunter will be played less. So there are certain matchups where, so sometimes decks actually can get worse because a deck that they were good at got nerfed, and then all of a sudden people play that less, and then people start playing more. I think people are saying, "Oh, Priest didn't get nerfed. What the heck?" But here's the thing: the decks that Priest beats, which is really was just before Gala Priest, like people think it was this dominant deck. It only beat Warrior on average. Lost everything else. Now my Cube Priest beats Warrior and Demon Hunter, but I could see, and I think Cube Priest will be even better against Demon Hunter now because of that inability for the Warglaves to go off on 5. But the thing is, now it's a thing of people are going to be playing different things. So, you're playing Q Priest and you're just playing a normal Gala Priest, or you're playing Questlock. So, let's just finish up a few things on that. So, but I think because of that, there's a lot of potential adjustments in the meta. So you might think, oh, this deck has to just get better, and it's not necessarily true. Decks that didn't get nerfed might actually get worse because things that beat them might increase in the meta because the things that beat them were getting beat by Demon Hunter and Warrior, and now those decks might be played less. Next card, Fungal Fortunes. Old cost 2, new cost 3 for Druid. People are saying, oh, this isn't a big deal. I think it's a big deal. Being able to go Fungal Fortunes on 2 into, often you're playing Fungal Fortune on 2 to get ramp on 3, or, innervate this. You might go Fungal Fortunes on 2 and then even get a coin Glowfly. That consistency, the speed of Druid is just going to be consistently lower. Also, I think Wild Growth builds are going to disappear. The Breath of Dreams becomes a lot better. I think people are going to start running maybe the Choose 2 card. I think Rise with the Wind, because just Druid's going to need a turn 2 play. The reality, if you're even just playing against the current Demon Hunter that doesn't run Warglaves, which is insanely against Druid, if you're going Fungal on 3, you didn't Hero Powered on 2, and then you just, you're going to get often run over by Demon Hunters, even with a decent hand, because you're just going to be too slow. So this slows Druid down, and it just makes it a lot more vulnerable to early aggression. I think builds that are a little less, I know the build that I brought that I won WSOE with was the build, I think there's you could look at my Malgos video on my stream. It doesn't run Glowflies, it runs Swipes. I could see that build being a lot better because you can run Wraths. So you run Wraths, you don't normally have a good turn 2 play. And because of that, you can fight for board a little bit earlier. You use a little bit more of your resources. You're a little bit slower, but you have the more late game value. I could see builds definitely being adjusted with the new cost, because you're just not going to be as fast with the new Fungal Fortunes. But given the meta, it could not be a big deal at all. Druid might just still be completely dominant. Demon Hunter getting nerfed, the Glaive-bound Adept nerf, or not the Glaive-bound, the Warglaves Azanoth is a huge nerf that's going to really help Druid. So even though this is getting worse, this is getting a lot better. Same thing with Metamorphosis. So Demon Hunters having a little bit more time closing out those games against Druid is going to matter a lot. So this nerf, is probably necessary, some sort of nerf to Druid when you're nerfing one of Druid's big counters. Next, I want to go into the last one is the Rogue Galakrond. It is now, instead of reducing cards to 0, it reduced cards to 1. This is huge. This is in high tempo matchups. Often you're going Galakrond and you just kind of auto Galakroning, and you're using up those cards. So often you even have a full hand and you'll be playing these cards. And you'll be using all of them. Now all of a sudden you have more decisions. It's just not the same level of tempo swing. It's still, in theory, this is still insane, but the builder, if you're drawing 4 cards and getting a weapon, that's still insane. Don't get me wrong. But the investment and the sort of fact that you're doing these lower tempo plays in order to invoke is worse. So things I could see happening, I could see like Highlander Rogue coming back. Because even though Dragon Queen is a little bit worse, stuff like this draw 4 is just is definitely a lot worse. So the ability to, but I think Rogue will still have a place in the meta, and here's why. At the end of the day, Rogue has the best infinite value generator in the game with Galakrond hero power. It's still better than Priest. Priest has the Vile Weavers as well and the Thought Steals, which kind of smooths it together, but Galakrond does have those lackeys, so any heavy control deck is going to have struggle against the infinite value that is Galakrond. So I don't think I could see Rogue being tier 3, but still having a place in the meta at the right times in the tournaments, in the right lineups. But I think Rogue's going to be real bad for a while. But I don't think Galakrond's going away because just like I said, the hero power, but maybe builds that less center around Galakrond, things like Highlander Rogue that don't run as many of these Galakrond cards because the payoff just isn't as good now. So this is going to hurt Rogue a lot. Every build right now has been centered on Galakrond for a long time, and so if you're about to kill your opponent, they can't just go Galakrond, play 4 things and sweeten the board. Now they go Galakrond and they have to wait a turn. You might just be able to kill them. So this does matter a lot. So this is kind of my analysis of the new cards. I'm going to have a video coming out soon where I kind of go through some of my new ideas of builds and decks that I think are going to be popular post patch. So stuff that you can try day 1. I'm going to have stuff that I think is definitely going to be good, and stuff that I think could be really good but could be really bad. The experimental, this is a new meta, anything can happen, let's try out something that's a little ridiculous. Most of those don't work, but sometimes they work really big. You never know. So I'm going to have that video coming out in the next few days. Make sure, if you want to do that, make sure to hit the subscribe button. But thanks, everyone. Hope you found this useful, and hope to see you guys soon.